All right, so humongous patch notes time. This is the patch that goes live on the 24th. Yes, the 24th. This is the patch that goes live on the 24th. This is 1.12. If you guys remember 1.4, about a year ago, they updated a bunch of the hero kits. They just revamped some stuff, made some stuff just a little bit better. They're doing that again, except to a significantly higher scale. So this is, I'm not going to be reading everything word for word, guys. I'll be explaining character changes as we go. I've played the patch quite a bit, actually. So yeah, I'll be explaining character changes as we go. I might not read everything word for word. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube and you have questions, let me know down below and I will try to get to them. First of all, new hero Neon. I had a Neon video go up this morning. In that, I explain her whole kit. She's very, very similar to Ari. Has a crunch type passive where she gets empowered abilities. Her Q throws a ball, boomerang comes back, does damage on the way out, does true damage on the way back. Empowered, it explodes at the end. Her E, she throws down a thing, it explodes, it slows. If it's empowered, it mesmerizes. Right click is a dash, directional dash. After you dash, your next auto does a bunch of bonus damage. Very cool. Her ultimate, she clicks it, she gets move speed, she gets jump height. She empowers all of her abilities for 8 seconds, and then you can recast it to throw a big bomb that does damage, and it does more damage to lower HP targets. Her augments, one of them makes her invis after she dashes. One of them is a stacking on takedown augment. And then the other trades your ward for a vision pulse that gives you some extra stats. Daybreak, new map. I saw this a lot in my comment section this morning. People be like, this map looks like dog shit. Brother, it is a fucking testing map. They are trying to figure out if the map is good or not before they do the fucking art. Like, goddamn, people. Like, it is not that hard to understand. It is not that hard to understand. And people could not grasp it in my comment section this morning. It's insane. Yes, the map doesn't look great. That is because there is no art. They didn't put any time into the art. When I played this map, it was a gray box. Right? Like, this looks significantly better than when I played this map. Like, come on, guys. Like, let's just be real for a sec. Ranked news. There's a new ranked phase starting. It comes with placement matches. Placement matches, very epic. You finish your placement matches. It places you somewhere. Very cool. They're changing matchmaking a little bit. So basically, matchmaking will take into account your visible rank now rather than just your hidden MMR. But yeah, no, actually, there's not really a but. That's about it. So if you're in silver, you should have a much, much less. Your likelihood of getting, like, when I'm playing on my Steam account, I was in silver playing in like diamond lobbies, right? That will be much less often. That will happen much less often after the patch because it will take into account the fact that my VP is silver. We've been tracking down a bug that often split high-ranked players. Thank you. They're changing a little bit of matchmaking in Paragon as well. OCE ranked window time changes. OCE ranked open these times now. Very cool. Hero adjustment highlights. I'm going to skip these. We'll get to heroes when we get to heroes. If you want to read this, you can pause and read. Sound effects updates. Updated ability sound effects. Updated abilities include all of these. Ultimate sound effects. Yeah, they changed. They added a bunch of sound effects for hero ultimates. They added some voice lines for hero ultimates, stuff like that. Hero UI update. This one is actually quite nice. This happened to a lot of characters in the game, actually. I don't know why it only lists these 4. Oh, it does say, okay. So like Sparrow, when you're holding charge shot, it now shows a charge meter. Pretty nice. Revenant, playing against Revenant, you can now see under his health bar, he has little little pips, and you can see how many shots he has left, which is pretty nice, similar to Jhin in League of Legends. Muriel, you can now press 1, 2, 3, 4 to select the target that you're ulting to, which is very, very handy. Neon, you can also see her 1, 2, 3 on her abilities. Same with, and again, we added this for relevant heroes. Heroes like Crunch, you can see Crunch's passive. Who else off the top of my head? Terra. Well, you can already see Terra's, right? Zinx. I'm not sure what the other ones are, but a lot of those heroes, especially with passives that count up, now you can see that when you're playing against them. Friend rewards. This is very similar. Like Smite has this. A lot of games have this, where if you refer a friend and your friend reaches X account level, you get something. You get some amber or some loot cores or some platinum. Pretty cool. Store news, skins, Shadow Ops Neon. This skin is pretty cool. It's a little cyberpunk kind of cyber thingy, cat face kind of thing skin. Renegade skins. These are the ones. These had a little trailer come out last week, I think. Pretty cool. Yuri, Bayle, and Kira. They all look fine. I'm assuming there's no new VFX here. They have updated voiceovers on all of these, but I'm assuming there's no new VFX. These are blue skins, so but they do have updated voices. Bundles, Neon Renegades Battle Pass. New Battle Pass coming. Has a bunch of stuff in it. Things like skin variants, etc. Predecessor web store. Okay. You can now buy platinum from the website. We're offering a 5% discount on bundles with the promo code NEON. Heard. When do I get a creator code? Thoughts? Creator codes incoming? Could be tech. Hero price adjustments. Very cool. Price decreases. A bunch of heroes are getting price decreases. Very cool. Opal store content rotation. Any content leaving the store will be available as drops from loot cores. Very cool. Okay. Replay system. Replay system have not arrived yet. They'll ship in March 10th. Nitro update. For the duration of the Daybreak testing period, Nitro will be disabled to avoid splitting queues. Okay. Kind of makes sense, but bummer for the Nitro players, I guess. But didn't they fucking destroy Nitro? Does anyone still play Nitro after they made your towers light on fire last patch? Does anyone actually still play that game mode? All right, one sec. Let me get a drink. Gameplay balance changes. Gameplay balance changes. The entire roster has been adjusted. Various heroes have larger reworks. Some have smaller reworks. Ultimate ability sound effects improve for all heroes. Good. I've been asking for this for a very long time. Certain ultimates just don't make noise, and it's very, very frustrating to get hit by an ultimate that you couldn't hear. All heroes have had their air control increased. This feels really good. Some heroes benefit from this more just naturally through their kit. Heroes like Skylar and Kallari benefit from this a lot. Kallari actually got hers even more. But this is very nice. This is very nice. It makes air strafing feel really good. You feel reactive in the air. It's very nice. I mean by air control, when you jump, your control over your character lessens. You basically have momentum when you jump, and to counteract that momentum, your movement is lessened. Otherwise, you could jump and you could be like this in the air. But now if you're moving and you jump and then you backpedal, or you try to backpedal, you like kind of fall down instead of like jump backpedal. But they're increasing the air control. Death timers are changed a little bit, but realistically, this is a very small change, in my opinion. Kill XP, this is also a very small change, but this is supposed to help you keep a lead, is basically what this is supposed to do. Akeron. Okay, so getting into heroes. All right, getting into heroes. So, Akeron is a big one. It's a big change. First of all, they changed one of his augments. His passive augment is gone. He got a new augment that is when you web lash onto a wall, you become camouflaged and you gain health regen. You basically get an echelon cloak while you are invis. Very cool. I actually quite like this augment. General now uses hunger instead of mana. Akeron is now a mana-less champion. Renman, thank you for the 7-monther. Welcome back to the pin zone. Appreciate it. Akeron is now a mana-less champion. He does not have a mana pool. His passive is essentially his mana bar now. He starts at 0. He gains rage the same way that he did before. By hitting people and by getting hit, he gains rage. Yeah. And then at max rage, he gains very similar things to what he did before. Also, guys, just side note, I will not be going over base stat changes for heroes. Generally speaking, over the patch, everyone got a little bit squishier. Generally speaking, everyone is slightly squishier than they are right now. That's pretty much what the base stat changes mean. I'm not going to go over each one individually. Sorry, that's a lot. So going into his passive, so yeah, he gains hunger the same way he did before. They grant 1 hunger per 0.5 seconds up to 1.5. It falls off by 3s. Very cool. There you go. And then yeah, when he at 100 hunger, he becomes awakened. Awakened, he gains damage mitigation and it enhances his abilities. Very, very similar to what it does right now. However, the enhancements to his abilities are slightly different. He also gains increased healing per hunger, by the way. Hellfire, again, so obviously he's manaless. All of his abilities are free. No longer does Akeron scale off of physical power. This character is full magical now. Full magical. Everything in his kit only scales off magical. No more physical scaling. Akeron can now dash to floors. This is a boon and a detriment. If you try to like web somebody under tower to Q them and you miss, you are going into tower. Similar to missing Spider-Morn's hook. Overall, this is a buff. Web shot does a little bit more damage. Awaken now increases root and stun duration. Crushing Maw, his right click. Bonus physical power scaling is removed. Physical armor shred by default removed. No longer steals armor when awakened. Now shreds physical and magical armor when awakened. For 5 seconds, by the way. This is a 5-second cooldown. So while you're awakened, this is 100% uptime, which is crazy. You also heal when you kill things. You heal a lot more. This healing on the wave is very, very good. His ultimate, again, obviously no more physical power scaling. The pull strength is no longer increased when your passive is up. It is now increased based on a distance from Akeron. So the closer you are, the stronger the pull is. This does still have an execute on it. This does no longer grant power when you execute somebody. This grants permanent max HP, which is really neat. I actually really like this change. The cooldown also goes down significantly. Even like rank 2, it's 20 seconds. Rank 3, it's 30 seconds shorter. So the cooldown is significantly lower. So late game, you just start solo ulting people to get stacks, and it's really good. Like this change, I think this is really neat. Overall, this is one, I don't know why we made him mana-less. I think you could have made all of these kit changes and had him stay with mana, and it would have been fine. But that's just me. Overall, he's fine. Again, I like this change a lot, but character's fine. Manaless Akeron now. Argus. His ultimate augment got changed. It is now infinite. It is now infinite. It also makes his ultimate travel slightly faster. This is really hard to hit. If you are in mid and you are trying to ult a side lane, this is really hard to hit. It is funny, but it is very hard. Again, squishier, Dreadnova. Argus, so they're increasing Argus's burst damage quite a bit. Like on his stun here, you can see stun duration goes up quite a bit, but they're increasing the damage, they're increasing the scaling, decreasing the cooldown. His Argus Q is really good now. Ether Crystal, the slow scales with level, damage goes up quite a bit more, cooldown goes down. Right click, it now also displays the number of disintegration stacks it applies to enemies for their health bar. This is something that, again, Argus obviously has a stacking passive, so this is just something that's nice. They increase the damage on his right click, but also increase the mana cost. And then the ultimate does a little bit more damage, late game at least. And then the cooldown is increased a little bit. This character seems broken to me. Again, I played quite a bit of testing, but like this character seemed really good. They like this buff to the Q specifically, like this shit is insane. Right? This character seems very good. He's obviously very strong right now on live, but this character seems quite good. Aurora got two new augments because her ult augment, the increased ult size, is now in the kit. Her ult is larger, and her wall is also longer. So both of those are just in the kit now. Boreal Sweep, damaging enemies with Boreal Sweep. This is her right click. Shreds armor. It's very good. That is very, very strong. But this one is broken. Glacial Charge now spawns Hoarfrost crystals at the base of at its base along the length of the wall. This is the root. You can just wall it people and they get rooted, and then you can root them again. It is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. Aurora, her passive, Aurora passive is now visualized. Very cool. Aurora regains air control on her double jump. She doesn't do this on live. When you double jump, you go straight up, straight down. Now you can move. Glacial Charge, you can stop the dash now. Right on live, you can cancel Aurora dash with your E, but you cannot do it with anything else. Now you can press spacebar or whatever your jump input, and you can cancel your Aurora wall mid-dash. The wall will continue spawning. The wall will be normal, but you can stop moving with it mid-dash, which is very nice. Hoarfrost, this is her secondary. It's larger. You can no longer spacebar jump over this. It's very nice. Very good change. Root duration slightly longer. Very cool. Boreal Sweep no longer blocks jumping, so you can actually right click and then jump, which you cannot do. It's now the cone on this. It's less wide, but it's much longer. So you have to be a little bit more accurate. Explain what it means by added camera mode. Yeah, so this is a change that you'll see this on a lot of heroes. Basically, the way to think about this truly is the ability will look slightly more cinematic. That's really the best way that I have to describe it. The camera changed on a lot of abilities. It either zooms out, sometimes it zooms in. It's different for everything. It just makes it look a little bit more cinematic while you're fighting. That's really the best way I can describe it. So a lot of them, again, it's hard to describe if you don't see it. Yo, Shadow Child with the 22-monther, man. Thank you, man. Welcome back to the pin zone. Appreciate it. Yeah, her right click. So her right click is longer. It's faster, but it's not as wide. Her ultimate now commits cost and cooldown on activation. Fantastic change, by the way. You can now silence Aurora ultimate and it doesn't go off. Crazy idea. Crazy idea. Also, they're doing this. I think this happens to a couple of abilities, I think, where you can cleanse the CC. If you cleanse Aurora ultimate, you still take damage, which is pretty nice. So these are both fantastic changes, in my opinion. Bayle. Bayle gets more attack speed from his passive. He gets more base attack speed, too. He got, like, quite a bit of attack speed added to him. Basic attack. Basic attacks can now be blink proxied. Thank God. I actually complained about this like 3 times, and they added it to the game. Crazy. This is such a good change. This is such a good change. This you guys don't even know what this means, but this is such a good fucking change. It is so good. So basically what this means, this is something you can do in Smite that I've been begging for in Pred, because you can't do this with any autos in the game. This is something you can do in Smite. Basically what this means is if you're playing Bayle, you swing, and you're charging your overhead slam, you can left click and start the animation, because Bayle's third auto animation, it's actually getting longer, right? So Bayle's third auto is going from 2x to 2.5x, and that's damage and swing time. You can start the animation and then blink, and the animation will finish after you blink, and you'll hit somebody. So you can just 1-2, and then start your third auto and blink on their head and hit them with a 10,000 damage auto attack on their dome through your blink, which is fantastic. It's such a good change. It is such a good change. Cursed Edge, his Q, a little bit more damage. It no longer scales with attack speed, but it is faster by default. Which is good. This is fine. His E does less damage, all around. Very cool. They're trying to make Bayle more. They're shifting Bayle into auto attack is kind of what they're doing. Like they gave him some attack speed base. They gave more attack speed in his passive. They made his auto attacks do more damage. His third swing is going to hit for like 5 billion damage now. Skull Crusher, his right click added camera mode, does a little bit more damage, way less mana cost, way shorter cooldown, so you're going to be very sticky on Bayle now. Kingslayer now commits cost and cooldown on activation. Very good. Remove knockback to other targets when landing. This is fine. Now you can stand underneath Bayle. It's kind of whatever. But this is fantastic. Ultimates being cancelable needs... again, I've been saying it for years, bro. Just needs to be consistent. Just needs to be consistent. Boris. His passive also now visualized. You can see if Boris has his passive up or not. More attack speed. What is this? A little bit less healing. At least late game. A little bit more early game. Very cool. Arc duration increased. You're faster for longer. Sniff, sniff. Primeval Roar, his E, his fear, does a lot less damage, but costs less. Chrono Swipe now benefits from lifesteal instead of magic lifesteal. This is on the actual dash damage. Obviously, this applies on hits, but this is on the actual dash damage. Abilities benefit from magic lifesteal, which is kind of goofy, but it's just the way it works. Now this benefits from normal lifesteal. Very cool. Slightly shorter cooldown as well. His ultimate, Boris camera is now unlocked during the grab. Very cool. You can look around. Does a little less damage, though. So Boris gets some damage nerfs across the board. Countess, they removed Shadow Strike augment. Thank God. This is her Q augment. It is fucking broken. And it would be more broken if it was still in the game after this patch went through, because her Q got a big change, which we'll get to. Shadow Slip. So Shadow Slip repeats its damaging effect at Countess's current location before she teleports back to her clone. This will make more sense when we get to the Q. You don't know what this means yet. Blood Tithe no longer reduces cooldowns on hemorrhage proc, so you no longer get that. I think it's 20% cooldown back off of when you activate your passive. So let's see. So Countess's Q. The damage radius is larger. She no longer loses tower aggro upon teleporting, which is fantastic. Great change. The way that this works is it's very similar to Countess's Q right now, where you Q in it wherever you're aiming. It spawns a thing, except right now, in the new version, you will instantly teleport where you Q. You will instantly teleport. It will do damage when you Q. You can click it again to go back to where you came from. So you no longer get to place the Q where you want to go, right? I guess you Q out, and then you can do it again to go back to where you started, if that makes sense. This seems really good to me, by the way. This seems broken. It's her old version, except it's not point and click. It's very similar to old Shadow Slip, but without the point and click. Yes. It is no longer lock on. It is an AoE. Let's see. There's I think there's an unlisted change in here, but I won't say anything. Pretty sure there was at least one more change to this ability that was supposed to go through. I'll have to ask Ray. Plus, it's a dash, not a teleport. Technically, it is a dash, yes. But she does, I believe she still gets immunity. She just no longer drops tower aggro. She does still get immunity, I'm pretty sure. E, cooldown decreased, very cool. Blade Siphon, added camera mode again. This is cinematic. Which one? Is the CC change still in here, Ray? Where you can't cancel CC anymore? Because I know that was at least something that I had seen. Again, it might not have made it into live. It was a bug you fixed? Oh, interesting. That was counted as a bug fix? Interesting. Okay. So now when you get CC'd, it should cancel your thing. Right now on live, if you you can basically buffer Countess Q, and if you get CC'd, you can see Countesses, they'll teleport while stunned. That shouldn't happen anymore. Right? That change? Did that not make it in? My bad if not, but she's stunned, she can't teleport back. Yeah, okay. It doesn't cancel the TP. Right? Like you just can't you just can't TP while stunned anymore. It doesn't cancel it. Like CC doesn't stop you from teleporting. You just can't TP while stunned anymore. Yeah. Which is, it's something you can do on live. And if you are good at the character, you can do it on purpose, right? You can buffer this when you get stunned, and it's really gross. And that you won't be able to do that anymore. Blade Siphon overall gets a bit of a damage increase. Very cool. Beast now commits cost and cooldown on activation. This is fantastic. I cannot tell you how many times I have stasised a Countess ultimate, and she ults me when I come out of stasis. It is cringe, and it should not be in the game, and they're fixing it. Good job. Crunch. Dash augment gets nerfed. Very good. Crunch gets a bit of a change here. So basically, Crunch passive is now... His ultimate is now his passive. Correct, gamer. Yes. Crunch's ultimate is now his passive. So he has access to empowered abilities at all levels. This is part of his passive now, and not a passive on his ultimate. He now has pips under the health bar, so you can see how many stacks he has. The damage on his passive goes down a little bit. Very cool. His auto attack damage goes up, though, so there you go. Empowered Q damage is drastically decreased because, again, you have access to this from level 1. So just keep that in mind. Cooldown decreased as well. Animation speed increased. Very cool. Right crunch. Stun duration decreased. Slow duration decreased. Very cool. This is his uppercut. Again, they're nerfing this CC and damage because you have access to this at level 1, which is very good. His dash now does a little more damage. Empowered forward crunch decreased by 10%. And then no hit recovery animation to be smoother. Thank you. His ultimate. So his ultimate is no longer a recast. It no longer uses the last basic ability you used. What this does is you click it. Crunch does a little animation. And then it lets you use an empowered ability. That's it. You can use an empowered ability. You can use an ability that's on cooldown. It's free. This is a fairly short cooldown. But basically, you could dash EQ for empowered Q, and then you can ult an empowered Q again. Right? You can have 2 empowered abilities in a row. Is the way that this works now. It's no longer just a recast of your last ability. Drongo now displays the amount of rad rounds stacked on an enemy hero. Double Falcon Crunch incoming? You can, yeah. People were doing it. I think it was Tekken, maybe, was doing that shit. It was funny as fuck, bro. It was actually hilarious. Rad rounds now explode instantly when the target is hit by old, rusty, or shrapnel cannon. This is a great change. This gives Drongo a lot of burst damage when he wants it, right? You no longer have to wait for like 3 seconds for your rads to explode. You can just stack 3 rads, boomerang, boom. Very nice. This also makes the Bring the Boom augment a little better because you can try, at least, to pop your rad rounds when people are stacked up, which is very nice. And also, rad rounds grants attack speed on activation. Very cool. Now, initial shot and additional shots deal the same damage on eruption. Obviously, the initial shot is nerfed, but this buffs the secondary shots, so there you go. Initial shot changed from 50% bonus fizz to 20% total fizz power. This makes it much, much better early game. Late game, this is probably pretty even. Let's see. Duration decreased slightly, cooldown increased slightly. This does a lot more damage now. If you're hitting people with like 4, 5, 6 rad rounds, this is a crazy amount of damage. Plus, it's a stim. It's very good. Old Rusty, animation cancel time increased. Very cool. Does a slightly less damage, but on a slightly short cooldown early at least. Shrapnel Cannon, on-ground animation timing adjusted. Very cool. Does a little more damage. Dekker, Ionic Surge. This is her ultimate augment. Now incorporated to Ion Strike by default. This is her ult, right? Yeah. Momentum Boost. This is her jump augment, her passive augment. Also now base kit by default. Polarity Strike. Ion Strike also grants a shield to allied heroes. I haven't seen this one. I'm assuming you have to hit your allies with your ultimate to make this happen. That's kind of cool. Stasis Bomb. This one is hilarious. Whenever you stun somebody, you gain 25 gold and +1 magic damage. Or +1 magic power. That is so funny. I think it is hilarious. Like, hypothetically, this is broken, but also Dekker Ball is hard as fuck to hit, like, consistently. I think it's so funny. I will be playing with this. I will be trying this out, because it is funny. Rocket Boots. Now grants Dekker's allies some move speed. Photon Disruptor, her Q, slow change to scale, so slow, stronger late game. Slightly longer cooldown level 1. Cast animation can no longer be interrupted by crowd control. This is a change that'll be on a couple of abilities in here. I don't think it's on a crazy amount, but a couple of abilities. Basically, the abilities that feel like they should be instant, like frame 1, are now frame 1. Right? They no longer... You will get CC'd, right? If Dekker presses Q and then she gets stunned, she will be CC'd, but her Q will go off, which is very nice. Stasis Bomb, slightly less damage. Ion Strike, stun radius increased. Cast animation can no longer be interrupted. Very cool. Eden. So, Eden, this is the first ADC, right? Drongo's normal. Yeah, Drongo's normal. This is the first ADC that is getting this change. This is the first one. ADCs are being spread out. That's essentially what's happening here. ADCs are being spread out. One of my long-time complaints with Predecessor is that all the ADCs feel the same. They hold left click, they hold W key, they walk at you, you die. That is pretty much how it works. However, at least within the carry role, there will now be some differences between some of these heroes. Some of the ADCs, I don't know how many, 3 or 4 maybe, are getting this change, where their basic attack range is being decreased from 1500 to 1350. Right now in Pred, I'm pretty sure maybe FaZe is 1350 and every other hero in the game is 1500. Some of the ADCs are getting theirs reduced because it just adds more variation to the carry role. It means you can buff this character because she can be spaced, right? If you're playing a 1500 range ADC, you can space out the 1350 range ADC, and if they get close to you, they're gonna do a lot of damage. But if they're not close to you, they literally can't do damage, right? It's a very like push and pull thing. This is something that's very common in League of Legends, right? If you're playing like Caitlyn, the enemy's playing like Ashe. If Ashe catches Caitlyn, it's going to be kind of bad for Caitlyn. Right now, she's perma-slowed from Ashe autos, that kind of thing. Right now, Ashe gets to click buttons. But if Caitlyn spaces properly, uses net shot properly, that kind of thing, then Caitlyn's going to win because she outranges. Very interesting push-pull. I like these kinds of changes. I think it's very interesting. Like how you play Yin? Not exactly, because Yin, again, she has shorter auto attack range when her E is active, but like, meh. Like, the character has a lot of tools to play against ADC, right? She's an anti-ADC character. Also, damage on Eden's autos go up. Her melee autos also gain more damage. Her ranged Q does, the cast time goes up a very, very slight amount, but the animation time goes up. So this will lock you out of autoing for slightly longer. Does a little less damage, but on a much shorter cooldown. Axiom Strike. This will also, side note, this will help generate heat. Her Q generates a lot of heat, and this being on a 5-second cooldown will let you generate heat very quickly. Her melee Q, also on a slightly shorter cooldown, again, will help you generate heat more quickly. Sidewind, her ranged jump. Ability buffer time. So basically, all of these changes mean that you can no longer jump Q. Right? Right now, you can jump and you can shoot your auto and Q basically at the same time. Now there's this very slight lockout on the right click. Longer cooldown late game as well. Talon Dive, this is her melee jump range decreased. This is because obviously her auto attack range is getting decreased, so her range of engagement kind of has to match her auto attack range. There you go. Feng Mao. Feng Mao, auto attacks go up. He gets a change to his passive. So Feng Mao's passive now no longer grants % increased power. It now grants flat penetration along with % bonus physical penetration. So the more pen you build, the more pen you can get. You can have like, I don't know what this caps out at. You can have like 100 flat pen on Feng Mao now, if you have all your stacks and your build is full pen. Very interesting. It makes him this makes him incredible late game. Even if you're not fed, if you have your stacks, this is incredible. I think it's very good. I think this champ will be very, 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 very good. Move speed, the base move speed on his Q, on his bubble, goes down. Execute range is going to be wild. Execute is going to be like 7 billion. Hamstring, his E. So the damage is decreased. Keep in mind this hits twice. Damage is decreased. Scaling is increased. But the ISO damage is increased a pretty good amount. So this is, again, so you're losing, you're losing 40, almost 40, 30 damage on the base hit, so 60, but you're gaining 20 back from the ISO damage, so you're only losing 40, but the scaling goes up. This is plus 40% scaling if someone is ISO. That is insane, by the way. Reaping Dash. Takedowns now only refresh 75% of the cooldown instead of fully resetting it. Which is very, very good. This is like, now Feng Mao can no longer dash ult, dash ult, dash ult. He can dash ult, wait 1 second, and then dash again, but it no longer dash ult, dash ult, dash ult, dash ult. Which is very good. Animation lockout increased, so dash auto is slightly slower. Pushing away from Bruiser Feng Mao. Yeah, a little. It's yes. I mean, yes, I win. The alternate way of looking at it is, if Bruiser Feng Mao is good and you build like 2 pen items, how much pen do you have? If you go like HP Bruiser or HP pen Feng Mao, do you end the game with like 60 flat pen? Because if you do, right, Bruiser Feng Mao might be OP. Right? It just depends how good this is. I'm not exactly sure what the numbers on this look like. But yeah, dash no longer gets fully reset, which is a good change. Ultimate does less base damage, basically if you don't execute somebody, this doesn't do any damage, right? This tickles if you don't execute. The execute itself is going down a little bit, right? So the base execute goes down, the physical power execute goes down, the penetration execute goes down, but the pen execute doesn't go down very much, right? This is only 40%, which isn't insane. And the fact that you get so much extra free pen, my guess is this is pretty linear on the execute threshold late game. My guess is this is still going to be, full build. This is probably still 1200, right? Plus. Recast timer also increased. You're fucking guaranteed a recast. You are guaranteed to be able to get this recast. It is insane. I don't know. This is crazy to me. Moving on. Gadget. Drink. All right, Gadget. Her Ion Barrier augment. This is her Shield Gate. No longer exists. New augment. At 200 passive stacks, you gain a level. Very cool. At 500, you gain extra jump height. This is interesting. I don't think it's going to be good, but it's interesting. Maybe if you're like Gadget support, you could run this augment, and it's maybe okay. But this one is also just really good. Every time you empower a hat on somebody's head, you gain 3 extra stacks. This is on top of the 5 that her passive gives you. So you can get 8 stacks per hat, potentially. Really good. This only works on hitting a hero. No extra hats or no extra stacks on the wave, of course, but still. Passive. Stacks on ability hit against heroes increase from 3 to 4. Are we sure that's the right number? Pretty sure this is 5. Just throwing that out there. I'm pretty sure this is 5. The version of Gadget I played was getting 5 per hat. That's all I know. Fixed an issue where Gadget would gain FDA stacks upon killing herself. Wait. Oh, you nerfed it? Oh, my bad, Ray. My bad. How do you kill yourself? Like, could you just walk into tower and gain stacks? Can I do this on live? Can I just walk into tower and I just get free Gadget stacks? That is awesome. I know what I'm doing for the first 10 minutes of my next Gadget game. Into tower level 1. Yeah, okay, I'm on it. Sticky Mine does less damage. So basically what they're doing to Gadget is most of her abilities are getting this. They do a lot less they do less damage. Not a lot less, but they do less damage, but the cooldowns go down. So that's kind of what they're going. I'm on it, Ray. I'm on it. Same with her right click. Well, her right click is getting the damage increase. So basically it's like it's also cooldown decrease. They're basically shifting some of her. They're shifting her away from the burst, right? Right now, Gadget Hat can hit for fucking 1200. And now Gadget Hat will do less, but you can throw it more often to get more stacks. But her right click does more, but it's also on a short cooldown. So this character is just throwing fucking abilities. She is just throwing abilities. You just click buttons on Gadget. Her ultimate also got fucking giga buffed, by the way. This is insane. Everything about her ult gets buffed. Base damage, scaling, and cooldown down. It is insane. I think this character will be quite good. She'll have the same problem that she currently has in ranked, which is like your team doesn't play around you, blah, blah, blah. But in like competitive, I think this character will be nuts. Gideon. God, this character. I'm going to say this a lot, guys. We're only fucking 20% of the way through. I'm going to say this a lot. This character is going to be broken. This character is going to be broken. Gideon is kind of turning into Rise from League of Legends, if you guys are familiar with League. He's kind of turning into Rise, where he's gaining a lot of mana scaling, which is very interesting. I think this is an interesting change. It's not something I would have expected, but I think it's interesting. So Gideon now gains increased maximum mana based on how much power he has. And his passive itself does less damage. Very cool. Scaling goes down. Root duration increased. Cooldown slightly decreased late game. But he gains more mana. And then his abilities and his autos also do damage based on bonus mana. His Q, right, added mana scaling. Very cool. The magic power scaling goes significantly down, right? Minus 25% is a lot. But it gains mana scaling, right? So that like, you know, does it offset? How much does this do, right? Same with his right click. Magic power scaling decreased drastically, but the cooldown goes down per max mana, which is crazy. It also gains mana scaling, slow increased. The portal gains a ridiculous cost, which I think is crazy, but it also it gives Gideon maximum mana after you use it. Black Hole now grants Gideon 2% bonus max mana per enemy hero damaged for 8 seconds. refreshing on each hero hit. Very interesting. The damage on this only goes down slightly. This is not a big damage nerf to Gideon ultimate. And the radius goes up. So I guess, again, so I've played this one a couple of times, and it seems really good to me. I don't know if they've nerfed it since I played it on the test server, but I had like 5,000 mana at one point in one of these games. Like, it's kind of nuts, bro. It is kind, and to be fair, I was just building every item that gave me like 400 plus mana, right? But I had like 5,000 mana. It's really funny. But I think these changes are really neat. Like, especially like this change to his right click. It's just an interesting way to take the character that I wouldn't really have thought of. It just further pushes Gideon away from just being like Bell Howie, right? Like those burst mages that are 2 ability combo mages, they all feel very similar, and this just pushes them to be slightly different, which is, I think, is very good. He's still essentially a burst mage, right? Like, that's what you're doing. You're pressing right click, you're pressing Q, but he now has a bunch of other shit in his kit that at the very least, changes the build path, right? I think it's really interesting. Ruination a must against Gideon now. Ruination's gonna piss on Gideon. True, bro. Ruination gonna be ticking for like 500 against Gideon. That is funny. Life Core Gideon, real. You're onto something, Ray. But yeah, I like these changes a lot. This is one of my more favorite changes in the patch, is Gideon. I just think that this change, it's really neat. It's really neat. It's a very interesting way to take a champ. One sec. We're like halfway. I'm gonna go grab some more water real quick before we continue. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. Log it good versus Gideon. Maybe. I weren't lying. This shit is wild. It's a lot, bro. It's a lot. Greystone. Auto attack damage goes up, now displays the number of armor shred stacks from his Q. Those of you that don't know, Greystones make way. His Q shreds armor. Let's see. Physical armor shred per hit increased. Maximum stacks per target decreased. Overall, what is this? This going from 40% to 32%, slight nerf. Damage goes down a little bit, but cooldown goes down, which means the uptime on the armor shred is more, which is good. Base health reduction on many heroes supposed to make early game kill threat higher. I talked about it at the beginning, Pepsi. Basically, the overarching of these base stat changes for most heroes, that most heroes in the game will be squishier. Pretty much everyone in the game will be slightly squishier. Greystone E, Sacred Oath, does a little bit more base damage, less bonus damage, or less scaling damage. Slow increased, slow duration decreased. Very cool. Jump. More damage, less cost, less cooldown. 10 seconds, by the way. This is on an ability that already reduces its own cooldown. This is nuts. You are never getting away from Greystone now. Good luck. The ultimate does a little less damage. Very cool. Slightly longer cooldown late game, but shorter early game. Very awesome. Grim.exe. This is another character that is going to be piss broken. Absolutely insane. Pulse Fire. So his passive gets a bit of a damage buff. Very cool, but a cooldown increase. Awesome. Grim is another 1350 ADC. Very cool. This change to his Q. The Q change, whatever. Little bit more scaling, a little bit less base damage. Very cool. The change to his E is where this matters. Basically, Grim gets more attack speed per stack, but when he uses his E, when he stance switches, essentially, right, when he turns on his E, he now has 1650 range, right? So if you guys are familiar with League of Legends, again, this is similar to Jinx, where your normal autos, right? Jinx is basically Grim now. But your normal autos are normal range or short range, and they stack attack speed. And then when you activate your thing, Jinx shoots rockets. They have a much larger range, and they do AoE damage. That's exactly what Grim does now. The E shots, your AoE shots no longer slow, but they do more damage. The damage can crit now, and it has much longer range. So Grim at base level can outrange ADCs. But if he's playing out of your ADC, out of your auto attack range, he no longer can stack that attack speed, right? So it is a give and take of this. If you get into close range, you can turn off your E to gain a bunch of attack speed. Very cool. This is 18%. Like, this is crazy, right? This is like, what is this? This is 80% free attack speed. This stacks 4 times, right? Like, this is 80% free attack speed. That's nuts. Insane. So I think this is going to be really good. It'll make him slightly harder to play because of this, but I think this will be very, very good. His ultimate GTFO does a fuck ton more damage. That's it. Pretty much a full item worth of attack speed. This is like 2 items worth of attack speed. Again, this stacks. I'm pretty sure this stacks 4 times. Like, this is insane. This is insane. This is a full item of attack speed level 1. Yeah, I think this champ will be insane. Grux. Grug. Retard. Warlord's Might. This is his ult augment. It is now in base kit. New augment. Red Mist. Grux gains 10% attack speed for each enemy hero or camp leader that has a stack of Bloodlust applied to them. Which is interesting. In a team fight, 50% attack speed sure sounds hella good. Are you ever hitting a full team with your passive? Probably not. This also doesn't last a crazy amount of time, right? So, like, how long do you get the 50% attack speed? I don't know. But even if you're just hitting, like, 2 or 3 people, because so basically they've shown the Grux changes, right? They're trying to push Grux into more of like a team fighting kind of character rather than like perma split push or 1v1. And this might be good. If you're hitting 3 people in a fight, 30% attack speed throughout a fight is quite, like, that's a full item, right? That's pretty good. Is it better than extra lifesteal? I don't know, but it might be worth it. They're turning Grux into Khaimera. Not exactly. Bloodlust now displays the number of bleed stacks on enemy hero. Bleed damage changed. The bleed does significantly less damage, late game at least, but it has a slightly more scaling. This will still do a lot less damage late game. Chieftain's War Clubs. More auto attack damage. This happens to a lot of the melee champs. They just do a little bit more damage with their autos. Smash and grab. Smash and grab. Animation cancel time decreased, so you get out of this much faster. Does a tiny bit more damage, but a longer cooldown late game. His dash is changed. He no longer has the short dash that knocks up. Now he has Paragon dash, which is it has a very small charge on it, and then he dashes 1350. Keep in mind, this is the auto attack range of half the ADCs in the game now. So as soon as your ADC can auto him, he can dash them. Keep that in mind. This is an important number now, guys. This is an important number. Does pretty good damage, and it drags enemies. It slightly drags enemies. It doesn't drag them. It's not like a Crunch Dash or a Hercules one, right? But it slightly drags them, and it applies a slow. His right click, his double pain, it does less damage, but this is a ginormous fucking change. Right now on live on Grux, if you hit a 5-man pull into a right click, you will only heal 1 time. Now, if you hit a 5-man pull into a right click, you will heal 5 times. You will heal for each enemy hit by your right click, which is insane. In a fight, if you're hitting multiple people, it is crazy. You're funny, Empty. But this is a crazy change. Again, they're trying to push Grux to be more of a team fighter and less of a perma split push. And then, yeah, they added the ult augment into Grux base kit. Yeah. So basically, instead of every auto attack, it's if somebody has max passive stacks on them, your ult will extend itself when you auto them. How's it going? I'm just trying to make it through the patch notes, Empty, bro. I'm just trying to make it through, dude. R2000 Howitzer. So R2000 gets a big change here. This is the change to Howie. His missile now charges. It's similar to Sparrow Charge Shot. It charges up, damage increasing from 65 to 100% based on 0 to 0.9 seconds of charge time. You can hold this kind of as long as you want. You do hover while you are holding this. So if you ult, right, you can hover this on your way down. You can move while you're channeling this. You do move. I believe you move at reduced move speed. I don't know if it says that in here. Oh, yeah. You can move at half speed while charging the missile. Okay. So you can ult and then you can move while you're charging this in the air, which is kind of funny. But they increase the damage on this, they decrease the cooldown, but the fact that you have to charge this now means that it's fairly easy to run away from Howie when he does this, which is a little interesting. It's a weird change. I played it a couple times. I don't dislike it, but it definitely changes the character quite a bit. Landmine may now be reactivated while midair. This is so fucking cool. Yes, you can empty. Yeah, while you're charging it, it's free aim. It's free aim while you're charging it. You can move whatever direction. You can aim wherever. This is such a good change, though. So now you can ult, or if you jump off a ledge or ice map or whatever, right? You can mine like straight down or to one of your sides. And if you mash the fucking button, it'll blow up midair and boop you, which is such a cool change. It is such a cool change. Like, you can ult, and then if people are waiting for you on the ground, you can boop yourself before you go down from your ult. It is so good. It is so good. You can also catch people with this. Like, if there's a Skylar flying in the air, right, you can throw your mine and boop her while it's in the air, right? That's a good change too. The boop on yourself is what I care about. I think it's so cool. Slow grenades, very cool. Make it rain, slightly smaller explosion radius. You got to be a little more accurate with this. Iggy and Scorch now displays passive stacks on enemies. Very cool. Passive stacks can now be cleansed. Also very cool. Flame turret does less damage. Turret health scaling increased quite a bit late game. Very epic. I love it when I can't kill Iggy turrets. It's my favorite. Physical armor and magical armor increased quite a bit. So Iggy turrets are significantly tankier, at least late game. But they do quite a bit less damage. Like, this is a pretty good damage nerf. 12 damage per shot plus 5% scaling per shot taken off is quite a bit. Oil spill, bigger slow, shorter cooldown. Volley, less damage. Burn damage increase, so better wave clear, at least early game. This is better for wave clear, but a little bit worse against heroes that walk out of it. Ultimate, Iggy Ultimate. Let's just take a look at these numbers, guys. Surely we're kind of nerfing, like, Iggy's damage over time. Like, his turrets are a little tankier, sure. Molly does a little less upfront damage. Surely we're not giga buffing Iggy Ultimate, right? What have we done? What have we done? Why are we adding 300 damage to Iggy Ultimate? What have we done? You are going to get one shot by this, by the way. You will absolutely, one item Iggy fucking one-shots you. This is going to be so fucking funny. You can already one-shot people with Iggy Ultimate, by the way. Now you are absolutely gonna one-shot people with Iggy Ultimate. This is so funny, bro. All right. Moving on. Kallari. Her death mark. You can now death mark multiple targets at a time. This is kind of epic. Sure. I think this is fine. It helps her jungle clear quite a bit, actually. Other than that, in a team fight, you can get, like, if you get, like, a multi-man ultimate, right? Kallari's obviously pretty single target. Her E is single target. Her daggers are single target. But if you, like, get a multi-man ultimate, then, yeah, I mean, you get multiple death marks on people. It's pretty good. It's a good change. Auto attacks go up a lot. 15% scaling on Kallari autos, by the way. Shadow Walk, her Q, less cost, shorter cooldown, but they did bug fix this. Very cool. Shadow Dance, her E, death mark damage multiplier increased, but the damage goes down a little bit. So if you're jumping on your marked target, this is still pretty good burst. If you're not jumping on your marked target, this is a pretty bad burst. Lower cooldown, though. Crippling Dagger, more damage on the dagger, but a little less scaling. Very cool. Way shorter cooldown late game. Guillotine, physical power scaling increased drastically. 25% late game is insane. Yeah, this character, this seems pretty good. They're kind of adjusting her to be... I don't know exactly what this is. They're trying to, like, reward her for playing in and out, like, poke on a fight. Like, playing off angle, playing for poke within a fight itself. I think they're trying to reward. Because now you have to keep in mind, you could walk into a fight and you can dagger 2 different people to get Deathmark poke, right? Which is interesting. It's interesting. I'm curious how good this will be. This buff to the ultimate probably means that the character will be good nonetheless because you can one-shot people. But I'm curious how good like the changes to dagger become, right? Like this is a huge buff to her autos. How good is her jungle clear? Stuff like that. I'm curious. Kira, they removed Q augment off Kira. So Kira got some pretty big changes because they changed her passive, which is kind of what her kit revolved around, and they changed it. So, her new augment is that her dash resets the cooldown of her new passive, and it does bonus damage. We'll get to this. Where is her passive? Here's her new passive. So her new passive is called Nevermore. She becomes empowered periodically, causing her next auto attack or right click to fire a raven that explodes on impact, doing current HP damage to all targets in a small area. It will not trigger if the attack kills a target, preventing it from being wasted. So basically, if you are last hitting minions, your passive will not trigger. But when you auto somebody, a little bird flies from you and it hits people and does damage. Which is, I think it's a cool passive. And again, so this augment allows your dash to reset it. So you could auto somebody, get the bird, and then dash, and then auto again. Kira is... Oh, here we go. Why is this one here? I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Kira's at 1350 now. Yo, Wolf, thank you for the 3-monther, man. Welcome back to the pin zone. I'm pretty sure that, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure she's a 1350. It wasn't in her general change. It's in her auto attack. Interesting. Kira is at 1350. A lot of the ADCs that have mobility are going to be 1350 heroes. It's like the general rule of thumb. Shorter range, laning even harder. Now she has some AoE damage from her passive. It's not that bad. 16% damage in 2 autos. Pretty strong. It's current HP, right? Like the second proc will do a lot less. You got to keep that in mind. He's trash then. You listen. Period. I know you're just making a comment, Alec. This is not to call you out. You guys should not say anything about how strong or weak a hero is until you fucking play the patch. Okay? That's it. Even if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I don't want to hear how X hero is dog shit now and X hero is giga broken now when you guys have not played the patch. That's it. Wait to play the patch before you make a big assumption. I think this hero is very good. Auto attack damage goes up. Her Dusk, so basically her old passive moved onto her Q. Her old passive moved onto her Q. So her Q now applies its own marks, basically, right? So as you're auto-attacking somebody, that is now on your Q. It can now be stacked infinitely. The damage amplification is much less. You no longer get true damage on people. It's 6 stacks. It now displays the amount of stacks on somebody. Dusk now resets its cooldown if you kill somebody with it. So if you Q somebody and kill them, you get your Q back, which is very, very good. The damage on this, the base damage is increased a lot. The damage per stack is decreased quite a bit. So like 1 stack Q is much better than it was before. But if you get 20 stack Q, it's not as insane as it sounds. The damage per stack also much lower. Slow, increased late game, but not early game. Yeah, this is an interesting one. So the cooldown's way down. It's very interesting, right? So her old passive is on this. Realistically, this is going to do pretty similar damage to what it does now. Like it's 6 stacks, right? The damage is going to be pretty similar, but it can stack infinitely. So if you hit a full ultimate on somebody, right? Kira ult hits, I don't know exactly. I think it hits 15 times. If you hit a full ultimate on somebody, like this is nuts, right? But you also lose the true damage that you had before. So if you hit a full ultimate Q on somebody before, did the true damage make up for how much extra damage your Q does now? I don't know. I don't know the math on that. But that's the trade-off. Shadow Glide, Umbra dash bonus, range remove. This is her old passive. You no longer get the bonus dash range, but the dash range now scales with level. Keep in mind, it is a 1350 hero, right? This is a 1350, but now you have a longer dash. Her right click, the cooldown reduction on this is removed. Now applies 3 stacks of Vengeance. Passives 1 target at a time. It is not Pepsi. It is however many people you're hitting. You ult 5 people, you're going to apply your stacks to everybody. Damage decreased on her right click quite a bit, but scaling increased a little bit. Cooldown also drastically decreased, right? This goes down to 4 seconds because, again, so her old passive, when you full stacked somebody, you would get half cooldown on your right click. You no longer get that, so the cooldown goes down. I think, personally, right click augment is going to be nuts with this. I think this is crazy. If you hit this, this is a 3-second cooldown with right click augment, assuming you don't have Solaris. If you have Solaris, this is a 2-second cooldown on your right click if you hit it. That's nuts. That is crazy. And every 2 seconds you get, so 50% of the time you get to take 1 second off your cooldowns, essentially. That's crazy. That is insane. Like, all of your cooldowns are essentially halved if you're right click augment and you're hitting your autos. It's crazy. It's insane. Ultimate minion damage modifier decreased. Self-slow decreased. You're a little faster in Cure Ult now. Khaimera, this is another big one. We went over Akeron, of course, at the beginning, but Khaimera is another mana-less hero. He now uses a rage meter instead of mana. Minion regeneration, renamed. Regen is based on current rage, is now reduced by blah, 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 at levels blah, 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 blah. This is to make Khaimera offlane not just the most piss-broken thing you've ever seen in your life. Oh, no, the passive flies to your target, Pepsi, but it is a small AoE, so you could hit multiple people with it. Like, you can hit all the melees in a wave with it, right? But it's very small. Yeah, so Khaimera, now a rage hero, uses rage instead of mana, maxes out at 100. His passive is essentially his rage meter, or his current passive is essentially his rage meter now, right? Similar to Akeron, where their passive just becomes the rage. Every stack of rage gains health regen, and then it does some other things. So at 50 rage, Kai gains move speed. At 100 range, he gains increased size. Rage decays 25 per second after not attacking for 3 seconds. So it decays very quickly. It decays very similar to what it decays at now, except it doesn't all go away at one time. Khaimera's cooldowns also progress faster, by the way, which is crazy. This is crazy. 50% cooldown reduction at max range. Awesome. Awesome. No longer has a cost to cast. Wow, who would have guessed? Cooldown on the Q goes up slightly. His E, health scaling reduced, so you heal a little less off of this. Has a slightly longer cooldown as well. Ambush, his jump grants 20 rage. His autos grant 4 rage, by the way. I didn't say that, but each auto attack is 4. So if you hit somebody with a full Q, you get 20 rage. Plus 20 from his jump as well. Jump does a little bit more base damage, a little less scaling. Very cool. Cooldown goes up slightly. Kind of whatever. Keep in mind, even when you see like this cooldown go up, this cooldown go up, this cooldown go up, 50% cooldown reduction, by the way. His ultimate now grants 20 rage per hero hit, which is crazy. You ult 2 people, you're already half passive, which is insane. Does basically the same damage, slightly less, but basically the same. This was the issue, was Khaimera offlane. They nerfed it a bit. I'm curious if Kai offlane is still going to be OP, but this is an interesting one. Again, did we really need to make Khaimera manaless? Probably not. Does it really change anything? Like, not really. Like, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? It's fine. Kwang. Basic attack, scaling way up. Interesting. Physical Kwang. Sky Splitter Kwang. Strike of the Heavens. This is a passive. Magic scaling increased. Basic ability, cooldown reduction decreased slightly. Judgment of the Heavens. This is his Q. It now provides vision. I think this is really funny. It now provides vision, so you can, if your Q is on the ground, you can see if somebody walks into it so that you can right-click. I think it's really funny. You're not gonna use this as like a ward realistically, but I do think it's really funny. You could throw your sword like on the stairs in offlane, right? If you're on blue side offlane, you could throw it on their red stairs and see if their jungler walks down. But also like you can't auto attack, right? Like you can't use any abilities while your sword is out. So like you can't really use it as a ward. I think it's really funny. Surge of the Heavens. This is his dash. Stun duration decreased slightly. Bug fix. Fixed an issue where colliding with the Heavenly Blade when it's in world would sometimes not spawn the V effects while still dealing damage and effects. Interesting. This is, I can tell you what caused this. Hitbox height of the Heavenly Blade in the world increased by 75%. Okay, interesting. So this is to make sure that you can jump dash your sword. This is caused by jump dashing, is what this is caused by. If you dash when you're barely off of the ground, you can instant animation cancel your knock up, which is really funny. It actually gives you an extra auto too, which is fairly important. But yeah, you can do that. That is something you can just do. And well, not anymore, but you can do it for the next watch, 3 days. Right click, more damage, true damage, more damage, shield, more shield, less shield duration though. Got to use it while you got it. Cooldown decreased slightly. Keep in mind his passive got a slight nerf, so this 1 second decrease realistically is more like a 0.75 or a 0.7 second decrease, but still, decreased cooldown. Ultimate does a little bit less damage, but a shorter cooldown. Very cool. Very epic. It's for right click on the Q. It's for the right click mostly. The ult has a charge, right? So even if someone's standing on it, you might not be able to get the ult, but you can get the right click because it's instant. Belica. Pulse fire rounds rebuffed. Auto attack Belica is back. Auto attack does get a slight buff as well. Seismic assault now targets and casts from the center of the screen rather than being offset. Very cool. Damage goes up slightly. Stun height increased slightly. Interesting. Let's see. Casting camera shake. Blocking window increased. This is a good change. This is one of the very, very, very few heroes where I think a blocking window is a good change. I hate blocking window. I am a massive, massive block window hater. But on this one hero, I will take it because this champ is broken. Animation speed decreased slightly. Voice line now plays at start of the cast. VFX added impact sound effects queue. Block window. So block window is how long after you cast the ability you can act. So right now, when you stun on Belica, you can act. You can do anything 0.35 seconds later. Now on Belica, when you stun, you won't be able to do anything for another half a second. It's end lag. Yes, it is end lag. And I hate end lag because it feels atrocious. And because, again, so obviously me, I come from Smite. In Smite, there is no end lag. It is just not a thing. There is no end lag on fucking abilities. It is just not a thing. Auto attack canceling is very, very good in Smite, and it feels fantastic. I wish auto attack canceling was better in this game because it would be nice, but there is no auto attack canceling in this game because of end lag, because half the abilities in the game have this weird ass blocking window. And again, on Bell stun, sure. She stands still to cast it. She shouldn't be able to fucking hit everything while you're knocked. Sure. But there are a couple, I think there's like two other, or there maybe they got changed because I complained about them when we were playing on testing because there were a couple of these where they had given blocking windows to heroes and I'm like, this is atrocious. I'm like, why are we adding blocking windows to heroes? Like, this is terrible. Why are we just adding end lag to abilities? Like, I would rather nerf the ability. I would rather have my ability do 50 less damage and no end lag. Yeah. Yes, it is, Wolf. It is. What made you swap from Smite to Pred? Pred's fun. Drone duration increased. Mana suck also increased. Zap damage increased. The innovation zap mana max mana drain increased. Very cool. Void drone now grants vision. This is huge. So this change is actually super underrated. Because Belica has one of the very, very, very few hard CC abilities that go through walls. It is insane. It is insane. You can now drone for vision, and this is also a safe peek, right? Like on Fangtooth Stairs, this is a safe peek. And it gives you vision. You can stun through walls on this champ. It is insane. Bits are so much. You've been begging for this change, Empty? This is a fantastic change. They also buffed the bomb quite a bit. The ultimates, they just changed the casting on it. Very cool. Well, you got more than you asked for, Empty. Happens with her damage with heroes no mana. Belica's ultimate scales missing HP damage against manaless heroes. So the lower HP, her ult essentially does execute damage against any manaless hero. So Belica will be very good against Kai, Akeron, Eden, right? She's already good against Eden, but she'll be very good against Kai Ak now. Because she will just one-shot you. If you're half HP, you are dying to Belica ultimate. Mako. They're changing Mako. But drone interaction, it just doesn't suck anything. Drone doesn't suck them. It still shoots them, but it doesn't suck them. Mako. So Mako's Q no longer costs HP. No longer costs HP. No longer heals either when you hit other abilities. Can now be used on Mako. So if you can Q the ground to heal yourself. Which is interesting. It's an interesting change. The fact that this character is a squishy backliner. I mean, he was supposed to be what is that champ? I just had her name. I can picture her, the League of Legends character that was supposed to be Mako. Starts with an S. Someone help me. Chat, you know what I'm talking about. Surely you know what I'm talking about. The chick with the global heal. Soraka. Got it. Never mind. Don't need chat. Mako is kind of supposed to be Soraka. Soraka is a character in League of Legends who damages herself to use abilities, but her passive grants her health regen every time she hits an ability. And her heal would like heal more if you're currently regenning. Very interesting character. I actually quite like Soraka's kit. Mako was kind of supposed to be that, but the fact that his Q costs so much mana or so much HP was really awkward. You couldn't max it first, and the heal per ability hit was tied to the Q, which was awkward. It meant you had to max your Q to get bigger healing, but you didn't really want to max your Q because it costs too much HP and it didn't heal you enough because it scaled off power. So it's awkward, right? Soraka's healing is tied to her passive, not her abilities. So it works a little better on that kit, but they're just changing it. Now it costs mana. He can heal himself as well, which is very handy. Very, very annoying in lane. This character can just permanently full HP now. Mako Fly, his jump, lower cooldown, basically same damage, less damage early, very cool. His stun, cost decreased, cooldown increased drastically. His stun is very good. Ultimate, if you are point blanking people with your ultimate, the stun will be significantly shorter. It will be significantly shorter if you are point blanking people. If you are full charging this, it will still be good. If you are point blanking people, it will be bad. Morigesh. So Morigesh's ult augment. This is the augment that reduces the cooldown of her ultimate when you get a takedown. Now also heals Morigesh for 120% of the damage dealt. Keep in mind, this ultimate does like 1200 damage late game. It is very awesome to watch Morigesh literally full heal when she ults you. I think it's quite neat. Also, keep in mind, she still gets the cooldown reduction. This ultimate is going to be... This character, this another character I think will be very good after patch. Countess ult 2.0? Yes. Essentially, yes. Pestilence now displays the number of Pestilence stacks on it. It applies to enemy hero. Base damage increased slightly. Max stacks increased. Yeah. This character, you can now stack more on people. Your ultimate does a fuck ton of damage. She is getting fucking obliterated on her auto attacks. Keep in mind her auto attacks refresh your passive duration on people, right? So auto-attacking people, you might say like, oh, this is a mage. This doesn't really matter. And it kind of doesn't matter. But you do have to be able to get a mark, right? And like your auto-attacks do, again, they extend your passive. It matters a little bit. On a mage, the auto-attack range matters less than it does on an ADC. But it still matters. Hive does a little bit more damage all around. Bigger radius, launch speed increased. VFX size decreased, a little more readable. Cooldown increased early game, no longer interrupted by crowd control. This is another ability that feels like it should be frame 0. Now it is. Swarm, duration increased from 3 to 4 seconds. Here we go. Hitting a non-hero grants 25% decaying move speed for 1 second and extends Swarm's duration by 0.5 seconds. So this is 4 seconds. And if you go through a minion wave, a 6-minion wave, this is now 7 seconds of 20% damage, 15% damage mitigation. No longer 20%, 15. Damage reduction now scales with 2% magic power. So it's like 40% damage mitigation late game. Awesome. Can't wait. Healing increased. Minion healing modifier decreased. Cooldown increased slightly late game. This is insane, bro. Keep in mind, this ability resets its duration on hero hit. So if you walk through a wave and then you can hit a hero later, keep in mind how much move speed this gives you for hitting minions. You're just going to have permanent E. Your E is always active, and it gives you damage mitigation. It's always up. It's gonna. I think it's gonna be good. Mark, range increased slightly. This is similar. This is close to auto attack range now. Healing, magic scaling increased slightly. Against heroes now heals for 25% more for each stack of pestilence on the target. So each stack of your passive. So if you like Q E somebody or Q right click E and then right click again, you will heal a lot from this. This character, they're kind of turning her into like a drain tank almost, right? Like that's kind of what this is becoming. I think it's interesting. I do think it will be very strong when it comes out. Keep in mind this character, especially if people are going this new ultimate augment, right? Or the changed ultimate augment. She is very spaceable, right? She is incredibly spaceable. She has shorter auto attack range. She has to be able to mark you. She's very, very spaceable. Cooldown is reduced by 50% and refunds mana on killing targets, so you can heal off of the wave for free, essentially, is what this means. Very cool. I think this character will be very good. Morn. Morn's ultimate augment is now base kit. His ult now applies his Q to everybody. Very cool. Can't wait to get Primal Morned. Perma. He has a new augment. This one is going to look very funny, because it is. Have you ever wanted Nocturne in Predecessor? Now Morn is Nocturne in Predecessor. When you ult on Morn, you increase the bonus move speed by, what is this? 300%. Let's do some quick maths here. Have you guys ever wanted to get from base to Fangtooth in 3 seconds? Now, with the brand new Morn augment, you can. Dude, me when I rotate, so like duo lane, me when I ult and they think I'm going in duo, but I'm really going in mid lane. Like, bro, fuck me. My life is over. I'm dead as fuck in mid lane. I see Morn show on the map in duo, and then his ult pops, and I'm like, oh, he's ganking duo. I'm fine. Morn on my head. I cannot wait. This one, I have not played this yet. This is going to be so funny, bro. It is going to be so funny. I've got to play it. All right. Moving on. Passive. The cooldown now scales with level, so late game, this passive will be good. Maybe more in off lane will honestly be good now. You can pick up really easy assists with your ultimate. Passive cooldown going down means that like Bruiser Morn will be more viable late game. Cast animation no longer canceled by crowd control on his Q. Enemy armor shred decreased. Now correctly shred the correct amount of armors instead of being 5 to 15% less than intended. Very cool. Cooldown goes up slightly. Wait, guys. The cast animation can no longer be interrupted by crowd control. But did you know that the cast animation can no longer be interrupted by crowd control? Did you know? The more you know. Morn E, his Mesmerize. Morn can now hold his channel at max charge for an additional 0.6 seconds. This is a very good change. You can hold Mez. Like, so if you go to Mez and something like Feng Mao uses Bubble, you can now wait it out, which is very interesting. Morn Mez on live right now auto casts when it hits max charge. Beguile's channel can now be confirmed by using the same ability input. Very cool. Magic power scaling decreased. Very awesome. Charm duration slightly increased. Morn's channeling buffs now remove after 0.3 seconds. What? Channeling buffs now remove after 0.3 seconds of casting Beguile instead of 0.75. Is this talking about the damage mitigation? Do I only get 0.3 seconds of damage mitigation instead of the full duration? Shouldn't I get it the entire time I channel it? Abduct, his pull, slightly less damage, can no longer be interrupted by crowd control once it has been confirmed. Once you cast it, it can no longer be interrupted. His ultimate now applies contagion. Channel time increased very slightly. Animation play rate decreased. Very cool. Eclipse now goes on cooldown if it's interrupted, which is big. Oh, after he casts it? Oh, I see, Ray. I see. Eclipse now goes on cooldown. So if Morn is in the middle of a team fight or in the middle of a 2v2 and he's trying to ult to get out, you can now cancel it and it goes on cooldown, which is this again, it's similar to the Aurora, the Countess, the Bayle changes. Like, these are good changes. These characters should be stripped of their ultimates if they get them canceled. That is kind of all there is to it. Murdock gets some interesting changes here. So his passive gets a damage buff. Very cool. Static Trap. All that you really need to know about Murdock is this. Murdock's Trap is now a mage ultimate, by the way. Murdock's Trap is now just a mage ultimate, which I think is really funny. 120% magic power scaling added to the trap. Keep in mind, if you are a trap augment, you can have fucking 12 billion traps down at all times. It is very, very funny. I think this is an interesting change. He gets the same change to his ultimate. Keep in mind, his ult literally does less damage than his trap if you build full magic power, which is awesome. Isn't that crazy? His ult literally does less damage than his trap. But yeah, so basically his trap and his ult gain magic damage. They gain magic scaling, which is interesting. It doesn't really, like, realistically, especially with, like, the buffs to his passive and, like, the shotgun change. Like, they buffed his shotgun and they buffed his auto attacks, right? He's up to 90% scaling autos. This is huge. You will never build magic power on this character unless you're just memeing, because it is funny. But items like Plasma Blade actually do have some value on this character now, right? Yo, Chase with the 15-month man. Welcome back to the pin zone, Chase. Appreciate it. But yeah, characters like items like Plasma Blade actually do have some value now, I guess. But realistically, all of his physical scaling got changed. It got buffed so much. Like, you can see 25% scaling added to his passive, 20% scaling added to his trap, 20% scaling added to his shotgun. Like, they giga buffed all of his physical scaling. So, like, yes, they gave him magic scaling. Yes, it is funny. This is hilarious, but is it good? No, it's not. Muriel. Muriel ult aug gets changed. Muriel's ultimate gets changed in this patch as well. So, Muriel basically got full kit changes here. I'll try to explain this as we go. I'll come back to this augment. I'll come back. Let's see. So Muriel, all of her abilities got moved around. Okay, so Muriel's current right click, her alacrity is on her E. Her Q, her serenity is on her right click, and then she has a new Q. If that makes sense. Let's see. So her Q, this is her new bubble essentially. His ability is fully reworked. It is basically you put down a big zone on the ground. It's this big blue zone. And inside of that zone, your teammates gain attack speed and they heal. Your enemy heroes in that zone, they lose attack speed and they take damage. Not a lot of damage, but they take damage. They lose attack speed. Very cool. Her E is functionally the same. The numbers on it change a little bit, but it's functionally the same. Her right click, her old Q, her serenity, her slow, is now on her right click, you charge it. It's similar to Sparrow Shot. Charge it, and then when you shoot it out, if it's fully charged, it stuns, which is interesting. So this is the new right click. It stuns, it does damage. It does quite a bit of damage, actually. But if you full charge it, it stuns, which is neat. Her ultimate is pretty similar. It functions a little differently numbers-wise, but it's pretty similar. So, first of all, you can now press 1, 2, 3, 4 to ult to your teammates. So you shouldn't miss your ultimates anymore. You shouldn't ult the wrong person, really. Shield is much bigger. Shield scaling goes down a little bit. Shield duration goes down. But it also grants 50% damage mitigation to the ally for 2.5 seconds. Which is crazy. A 900 shield and 50% damage mit, right? That's effectively an 1800 shield. It's crazy. It's crazy. This ultimate basically means that whoever you ult to cannot die for 2.5 seconds. Not on cast or land. On cast. It's the same as current Muriel. You get the shield when she casts it. It's interesting. It's really good. They did decrease the duration, right, from 3.5 to 2.5 seconds, but you are unkillable during those 2.5 seconds. It is insane. And then going back up to the other augment, the new augment is that when she ults, she casts a Q on the ground. Her new Q that heals your team and damages the enemy team. When you ult, it casts a Q on the ground at the location that you're ulting to. Her new passive also, she no longer gives her allies on hit. Allies affected by Muriel's abilities gain increased healing and shielding. Enemies damaged by Muriel's abilities have their healing reduced. So Muriel, her kit, her new passive is built-in anti-heal and increased heal and shield power, essentially. So it is very good. She seems very, very strong to me. How big's the ground buff? Same as the ult AoE? No, it's maybe similar. The ground buff is pretty large. It's like, I mean, it's bigger than Gideon Rock. Like, I don't know what ability is the same size as Muriel's new Q. It's in between Gideon Rock and Xeris Ultimate. It's not as big as Xeris Cage. Sparrow Q, yeah, it's pretty similar to Sparrow Q. Same size as her Bubble Shield. I think it's bigger than her Bubble Shield. I think it's slightly larger. It's not as big as a Xeris Cage, but I think it's slightly bigger than Sparrow Q. Faye RMB, yeah, maybe. It's something like that. But I think this character seems really good. Her ultimate is just so insane, bro. Her ultimate is just absolutely nuts now. And she has a stun. Like giving a backline support, giving an enchanter a stun is really incredible. Narbash, this is another one that actually is some pretty big changes. So they turned Narbash into Lucio, long story short. He got some new augments. Rhythmic Recharge and Berserker Beat are both gone. Thunk is his new Thunk augment. Thunk drops to the floor towards you when it hits a hero. Narbash can pick it up to refund Thunk's cooldown and restore 50% of its mana cost. Seems pretty good. You Thunk somebody, it's like Terra Axe Augment or Olaf Axe, right? You pick it up, you get some cooldown back. Very cool. War Anthem. So, Song of My People and March no longer heal. Instead, Song of My People's green healing song replaced with a brown physical power song. Shit song. Granting nearby allies increased physical power. If March is used while the physical power song is active, nearby allies are granted additional physical power. 4 seconds. This will make a little bit more sense when we get to the kit changes. Has a new passive. No longer has Beat Drop. Now has Mosh Pit. Narbash gains physical power, armor, and magic armor for each nearby allied or enemy hero within a 1700 unit radius. Late game, this can be nuts in teamfight. He actually gets so tanky. Kind of nuts. Reworked. So his Q, the effect. March now amplifies Song of My People. His Song of His People is his E. It is his heal. Providing an effect to nearby allies based on his current song instead of generically granting move speed. And to combo with this, his E is reworked. Effect, Song of My People is now a toggle ability, allowing Narbash to switch between his healing and speed songs when it's activated, granting nearby allies bonus effects. While he's in speed stance, essentially, allies gain move speed. While he's in heal stance, they gain regen. He's Lucio. Right, that's just, I'm assuming the vast majority of my chat has played Overwatch. He's Lucio. That is just what this is. That's the easiest way to explain this. His E is Lucio's stance swap, and then this is whatever Lucio's boost, his amplifier, whatever. Right? So if you're in speed stance when you press Q, your team will gain a fuck ton of move speed for 4 seconds. And if you're in healing stance, your team will gain a fuck ton of regen for 4 seconds. Thunk now deals its damage in a very small AoE. So, it only stuns one target, but it does damage in an AoE. Now knocks back enemy a very short distance, which is interesting. Crash Bang Boom now applies a 5% ramping slow per damage instance. Upon damaging targets 5 times, they are mesmerized for the rest of the ultimate's duration. By the way, insane. No longer grants Narbash damage reduction when channeling. He no longer gets damage mitigation. He's now slowed while channeling. So if you're on the edge of this, you can maybe get out. It does a lot less damage. It basically does no damage, right? This basically does not do damage anymore. But the fact that it can mez is insane. Heal speed doesn't drain mana anymore. Not really, right? So the only thing that costs mana is if you amp your song. Switching stances does not cost mana. If you amp your current song, it costs a lot of mana. But yes, essentially in lane, you have permanent health regen. Phase. Phase Blink's now visualized by a pip under her health bar. You can see when Phase has Blink and when she doesn't. Her auto attacks now scale with magic power. Holy, mid lane Phase incoming. Psychic Flare, her Q. Mana cost decreased, damage decreased. Added a subtle cast camera to the ability. No longer be interrupted after frame 7. Very cool. Energy Lance now displays the number of slow stacks on the player. Can no longer pierce heroes. So this is big, right? And you can now body block phase ult or phase beam. Very big. Magic power increase. So this does a lot more damage. It does take 1 more tick to root, but it does a lot more damage, but it can be body blocked. Big. Root duration increased slightly. No longer deals bonus damage upon damaging a rooted target, but that bonus damage is essentially baked into the ability now. Telekinetic link range increased slightly, but the max tethered, or the max ally distance before the link breaks is reduced. So you can link from slightly further away, but you still can't be super far from them. Now has a delay before the tether breaks at max distance. Can now pulls allies 30% further behind Phase's location. Interesting. Pull flight duration increased, leading to smoother pull motions. Okay. Max pull height increased. Cool. Pull flight curve adjusted to better allow Phase to pull her ally up higher ledges. Interesting. Makes sense. You're no longer insta-slowed after you get pulled. Hyperflex. Cast animation can no longer be interrupted by crowd control. Very cool. Rampage. Rock and Awe. This is the rock augment, the jump rock. This is now base kit. You can now pull rock out of the air while you are normal Rampage, but this is still an augment and it just increases the damage. The Rumbling. Physical power scaling decreased slightly. Impact camera shake for enemies reduced. Lamau. Boulder throw can now be ripped out midair. Does a little less damage. Now has a mild amount of camera shake when thrown in behemoth form. Whoa. Rumble now always deals its damage in front of Rampage instead of having, left then right kind of thing. Does a little less damage overall. Slow change to scale off of bonus HP, which is kind of gross, but so be it. Bonus health to physical power conversion increased to 4%. Rampage will one-shot you. Good luck. Cooldown decreased. Enraged cooldown changed slightly to be lower. Let's see. Pounce, jump, now displaces enemies. So that Rampage's jump has a slight knockback. This does not cancel anything. This does not have a stun associated with it. But it does have a slight knockback on it when you jump on somebody. His ultimate max health total healing increased slightly. Healing is now increased by 10% for every nearby enemy within 1,000 units. Damn. Now grants move speed. Cooldown now commits on end rather than at the beginning. This is big because Rampage could essentially get 10 seconds off his ult cooldown, right? There you go. Camera mode adjusted to be more zoomed out. Rampage, they nerf all of his damage, but they give him more power, right? So, like, his autos will still hit really hard. His abilities will be pretty much the same because of this change, right? But his autos will hit really hard. Good luck. Renna's Q. So it does less damage. It has less scaling, but it has significantly increased pull strength. So this will actually be really annoying to fight against. This pull is pretty big. It is very annoying. Her E does less damage, costs less mana. Her right click does a lot less damage, base damage, but it does a fuck ton more damage late game. 5% increased scaling per shot is a lot. And it's a reduced cooldown. Keep in mind, this is the ability that gives her her shield from her augment on a shorter cooldown. Abyssal Rift, her ultimate. Channel duration increased. This is massive. It takes so long. It takes an actual fucking eternity to channel freaking Rena ultimate. It is crazy. It does no longer deal more damage to low HP targets. It has a slightly shorter or slightly smaller radius. It does a lot more damage straight up all around, right? 8% added to scaling and 50 base damage added. That is a lot. And the cooldown's reduced slightly. The fact this is the, honestly, this change, kind of whatever. The channel duration, kind of whatever. This change matters a lot. This change matters a lot. It is going to be really hard to get like 3 or 4 man ults now. You are pretty much going to have to focus one person in a fight now with your Rena ult, which is very annoying, but it does a fuck ton of damage. So, we'll see. I don't know how good this character will be. Her right click seems nuts, and her ult seems nuts. And maybe just because they buffed the base damage on the ult so much, right? This is like 200. This is what? This is almost 250 damage per second base damage. Maybe you just build tank. Like, maybe you just play Bruiser Rena. Like, maybe that's the strat, and your ult just kills people because you have an execute on your Q. Like, maybe that's just the strat now. I don't know. I'll have to try it. Revenant. Revenant's quick draw, his reload augment, now grants jump height. Funny. I'll get to it after the patch notes, Trakeel. Spectral Bounty no longer steals power, and this has been integrated into his ultimate by default. Now Spectral Bounty grants 3x gold from Bounty Hunter from his passive while in the Nether Realm instead of 2x. Very cool. Excuse me. Reload complete sound effects better synced up with reticle animation. Very cool. Bonus physical power scaling decreased. Rev's autos get a slight nerf. Obliterate, his Q does a little bit less damage overall. The magic power scaling gets nerfed because Ray fucking hates me. Because Ray just hates me. That's why he nerfed the magic power scaling on Revenant Q. Hellfire rounds. 4th shot missing HP damage increased. To add magic power scaling to the 4th shot. Hold up. Wait, Ray, I didn't mean it yet. I didn't mean it yet. Hold up. 1 second. 1 second. I didn't read far enough. Chill. 1 sec. Let me keep reading. 4th shot move speed changed from 25% to 10 plus 15% bonus attack speed. So attack speed now affects your 4th shot speed. Now immediately removes Rev's combat penalty. So this is big. Right now, on Rev, you get move speed for like 2 seconds after you land a 4th shot. But that first like 1 second, you're technically still in your auto attack. So you're slowed by the auto attack move speed penalty. Now, when you hit fourth shot, that will be removed, so you'll be instantly fast. It's really good. Fourth shot monster damage cap increased quite a bit, a fuck ton, doubled. Critical damage modifier decreased slightly. Reckoning now steals 10% of the... So this is Ultog added to base kit. Ray, do you keep power on this character? Does he have... Is this Mordekaiser? Does he keep stats from off of his ultimate? Because this is what... Like, this says... You know, this obviously says it's been integrated into Reckoning. Do you still keep stats if you get kills in your ult? I'm not sure. You still need the augment, but I mean the augment doesn't say that it still does that. Is this not just the correct wording? He steals it temporarily. If you have the aug, you keep it. Okay. So the steal is base kit, but the keeping of power is still on the augment. Heard. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ray just fucking nerfs AP Revenant for no reason. This is kind of whatever. 1.5% magic power scaling. What is this late game? If I have 600 magic power, what is this? This is 9%. That's 20% missing HP damage. That's pretty good, but it's a late game. I don't know, man. I don't know. Not so sure about that. It's whatever, bro. Yeah. And it crits? Yeah. Buff it? Thank you, blood. Thank you. I appreciate that. Lucario ass Revenant builds incoming. Real. Mixed attacker. 50% or bust. Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. If I'm full magic damage Revenant, my fourth shot should just kill people. It should just be a 100% execute, in my opinion. And I also would like to apply for a game design job. Thank you. Riktor, the range increase on Brutal Chains on his hook augment is default kit. So hook is a little bit further now. Current overload is gone. This is his E augment. New augments. He has on his hook, Riplash now also hooks allies, refunding half its cooldown and half its cost. This is funny. This is funny, bro. Hooking allies, you can hook someone out of danger. It's like having a phase on your team. I think this is hilarious. You will be able to troll the fuck out of your team, but I think it's funny. He also has a new thing, Zappo 9 Chains. This is just a spell blade. Whenever you cast an ability, his next basic attack zaps 9 nearby enemies within 650, dealing damage based on his power. Pretty good if you're playing offlane, because his E augment got removed. So if you're playing offlane, you're playing jungle, this is your clear augment. Pretty good. It's Pudge from Dota. Pudge hook. Real. It's Bebop. He has a new passive as well. He no longer has Riot Shield. He has Suspended Sentence. So when Riktor CCs somebody, their cooldowns stop going. Their cooldowns stop going. So the way that this works is, let's say your cooldown is at 10 seconds left on the cooldown, and Riktor ults you, and then he hooks you, which is like 3 seconds of CC. When you are done being CC'd, your cooldown will still have 10 seconds left on it. That is the way that it works. It halts your cooldowns. It stops your cooldowns while you're being CC'd. Hard CC only? No. All of Riktor's CC in his kit will stop your cooldowns. Immobilize or silence, which is all of the CC in his kit. I think it is so funny. Does that count for Blink? Probably. What about the Rock Crest? About Crest Silence? Probably, yeah. Silentium probably works. Shock Therapy. Cast animation can no longer be interrupted. His Electrocute. This is another pretty big change here. It does not halt blink. Good to know, blood. Only works on his kit abilities. Oh, it does not work on external things. Okay, heard. No Echelon Cloak NV Riktor to get an extra silence. Electrocute. So the bonus scaling on his E, this is on his zappy guy, and the magic power scaling go down. The duration goes down. However, Riktor gets a giant fucking shield when he clicks this ability. 16% max HP shield. It is crazy. Transference Riktor incoming. The move speed is also lessened, and the damage is lessened. But while Electrocute is active, taking damage causes Riktor to emit an additional pulse of damage in the area, dealing half damage. So, if you're in a fight and you're getting hit, this basically does the same damage that it does right now, pretty much, right? So all of his damage basically got cut in half. But you can now essentially do 1.5 damage. It comes out fairly even, except he also gets a massive fucking shield when he uses the ability, which is crazy. Riplash, max HP damage reduced, range increased. Skewer, damage decreased a little bit, scaling decreased. Cool. This character is funny, bro. Giant fucking shield, transference Riktor incoming, no more cooldowns for you. And I'm hooking my teammate out of tower to die. Make his offlane clear worse. If the enemy offlaner is hitting you, it makes his clear is fine. If you have Zappo 9 chains augment, your clear is fine. All right, Serath, this is also a pretty spicy change. Her crit aug, her ult crit aug is gone. It is now applying an on-hit effect to an enemy, grants Serath 0.5% attack speed for 3 seconds, stacking infinitely. So if you have like 3 or 4 on-hit items, you're getting 2% attack speed infinitely, which is funny. You can be swinging on this character. Nephilim now deals additional physical power based on your physical power magic damage on hit. So the scaling on this is essentially +5 scaling, right? +5%, but half of it's magic. Heaven's Fury. Total physical power decreased on hit modifier increased. Additional hit modifier decreased. Cooldown increased slightly. Ascend. Added 40% magic power scaling to the damage. Chastise. Added 40% magic power scaling to the damage. Interesting, isn't it? Heresy. Added 80% magic power scaling to activation damage. Added 25% magic power scaling to burn damage over time. Prophecy Orion incoming? Typhoon Prophecy Orion? Serath incoming? Is this good or bad? I think, listen, dude, at the end of the day, I can play Magic Serath now, okay? That's all that matters. I can play Magic Serath. That's all that matters, dude. The rest of the kit changes, what? So she gets more move speed and her ult, her burn does a little bit less. Right click, less damage, slow duration, decrease slightly. Her abilities do a lot less damage now, I guess, is basically what this is. Her abilities do a lot less damage, but her autos hit harder. So that's kind of epic, I guess. 30% move speed and ult. Yeah, this is crazy. 30% move speed and ult is crazy. The item has an on-hit, you're probably building right. Is that just the strat, blood? Just slam this augment, build full on-hit? I'm thinking like Prophecy Orion, Sky Splitter, Tainted Round, Stormbreaker. On. Prophecy Serath first item might be some terrible clear though. Nah. Spectra, big. Or R&B applies on hits. Wait, did I miss that? Wait. Her right click now applies on hits at 100% effectiveness. Hello? Cursed Ring? Cursed Ring Serath is real. It's real now. It's actually, it's real, bro. It is crazy. Sevarog. Sevarog passive gets changed here a little bit. So Sevarog gains more HP per soul, but he no longer gains bonus siphon damage from his souls. Health per tier of his passive increased. Tier 3 no longer grants reduced Colossal Bowl. Tier 3 now doubles temporary HP gained when stealing health with Siphon. His Siphon now steals HP. No longer grants aura damage on Tier 4. He now gains Thorns. Anybody who's in melee range of him, he gets Thorns against. Pretty good. Siphon does a little less damage. Now steals 3.5% of the target's max HP for 30 seconds stacking. Excuse me. Stacking infinitely. Which is crazy. So you can just take HP off of people. The health scaling is also increased. So even though you lost the siphon damage from the passive, this is still increased. Pretty nuts. Subjugate. So his Subjugate gets reworked here. Basically, it no longer roots. Instead, it slows. And it chains them. So you throw your E down, it hits them, it slows them, it chains them, and then there's a second AoE. And if they move out of the second AoE after getting hit by the first one, they get stunned and they take damage. Phantom Rush. Sevarog can now dash vertically. Crazy. Sevarog now fears targets he hits with dash for 1 second. Crazy. Insane. Colossal Blow now executes minions at max rank. Does a little less damage early game. Very cool. This character does seem quite good. Skylar. Suppressive Fire. It removed and incorporated in a base kit. Atomized Artillery. Delay between shots. Decrease so her ult fires faster on her multiple ult dog. Air Assault's hover duration now lasts 0.5 seconds longer and fires an additional missile with each activation. So this is the new flight dog for Skylar. Plasma Grenade. A little bit more damage all around. Projectile speed increased. Air Assault now grants range while Skylar is in her ult. Is she a 1350? No. I don't think so. Doesn't say anywhere. So Skylar she's a 1500. Okay. Skylar Giga spacing now in her fly. Missile scaling increase, more missile damage. Very cool. Hypercharge, max stacks, physical armor damage removed. Hypercharge no longer ramps up. Instead, each time Skylar damages an enemy unit with Hypercharge, deals 1% increased damage for 1 second, stacking up to 25 times. That's pretty good. Max stacks increased to 25. Hitbox radius increased by 1 unit. Nice. Atomizer. Terrain collision reduced, so the actual ball is a little bit smaller. Impact decal increased to better convey explosion radius. Very cool. Does a little more damage to monsters. Correct speed. Shinbi. Shinbi gets 3 new augments. Shinbi gets 3 new augments. All of her other ones are gone. All kill. This is encore. This is if a target dies while they're being ulted, you get your ult cooldown back. Pretty epic. This one just reduces her dashed cooldown. Shinbi's final basic attack now deals an additional magic damage, and its type is changed from physical to magical. Very cool. Ult reset. Yes, you can just get an ult reset now. No longer has its cooldown reduced by dealing ability damage. It now restores mana, which is pretty epic. Line tempo. This is now a straight line. You can throw this upwards, etc. Target location now updated on cast. This is fantastic. Damage increased slightly. Scaling decreased a little bit. Radius decreased. Projectile speed decreased a little bit. Cool. Cooldown decreased. This ability will be pretty much just more consistent. You can hit people going up. People won't be able to jump over it very easy. Circle Rhythm no longer refunds dash cooldown. Now deals 3 ticks of damage instead of 4. Added a small cast time. Animation speed increased, duration decreased, now grants move speed for the duration. Damage increased slightly because it only ticks 3 times now. Very cool. Dash can now, Shinbi can also dash vertically now. Damage change, does a little bit more damage all around on her dash. Her ultimate. So her ultimate, basically, the way that this works is that when Shinbi hits enemy heroes, she gains her stacks on herself, and then when she gets to 8 stacks, she can only ult at 8 stacks. When she gets to 8 stacks, her ult will hit everyone that she's hit in the last 8 seconds. So if you're just running through a fight and hitting people, eventually when you hit 8, you'll just ult everybody. The damage does go down a little bit, but it's very good. Sparrow, Veiled Stalker. Sparrow's Invis augment is now base kit. She gets Invis on her E, which is pretty crazy. Sun Shards. This is her new augment. Sparrow's basic attacks ricochet up to 4 times, dealing damage and applying on hits. Pretty crazy. Split among everyone speed. Stacks on herself. Relentless now displays stacks. This is another character that gets the very awesome, cool thing of magic power scaling. Sparrow, 80% magic power scaling on her Q. Also, the slow scales off magic power scaling. Awesome. Heightened senses. Upon activating, she enters stealth and gains move speed based off of magical power. Easy. Attack speed increased slightly. Piercing shot. It also now, this is another one that has a charge meter on it. Very cool. Cooldown goes up by 1 second. And yeah. The ultimate now scales with magic power also. Range slightly increased. So everything except her snipe scales with magic now. Awesome. But why? Because Misfortune has magic scaling, I guess. I think it's really funny. You can get this. This can be like an 85% slow, bro. Like, low-key, it's kind of nuts. This can be like 85%. Kind of crazy. Steel, Bulldozer, his CC immunity augment. Now, base kit, heavy metal. So he got a new attack chain, basically. So let's go through this. Punch is now an attack chain, striking twice in quick succession with a 1-2 combo of a light and a heavy attack. Light attack deals 40% damage and applies on hits at 40% effective. Heavy attacks deal 125. This is fucking nuts. This character is insane, bro. You've never been one-shot by a steel before until now. It's crazy. Steel dash now, by default, it is CC immune. Does a little less damage, though. Very cool. Force shield, a little less damage. Shield bash, a little bit more damage, but less HP scaling. Shield slam. Damage decreased. Flight time increased, so it takes longer to hit the ground. Range wildly increased. And radius wildly increased. This thing is ginormous, bro. This steel ultimate is fucking huge. Moving on. Terra. Terra is being changed into a tank. Terra's a tank now. She basically, long story short, all of her abilities scale off of armor. None of her abilities scale off of power anymore. All of her abilities scale off of armor. So yeah, again, that's pretty much just what this is. All of her abilities scale off of armor. Her Q doesn't do true damage anymore. It does max HP damage. Her ultimate is the only other big change here, which is she's no longer CC immune while ulting. Her ult still cleanses when you click it. You can still click it while you're CC'd. You are no longer CC immune during your ultimate. It now slows people next to you when you use it. It also disables any turrets within a 1650 unit radius on activation, which is fucking awesome. It's like it's Volibear ultimate from League, where he can turn off your fucking tower if he ults you. I think it is so funny. No longer makes her unstoppable. It no longer doubles her passive armors, but she gains a bunch of extra armor and tenacity. Terra's just a full tank. Everything scales off armor. Her ultimate turns off towers. This character is going to be a fucking menace. Good luck. That is all I got to say. Good luck. Terra support? No. Faye. Bramble Patch. This is her Q. Does a little bit more damage. Very awesome. Her E now displays the number of damage amp stacks that you have on people. Cast animation no longer interrupted. Big. Inhibs 2. Heard. Missed that she's unstoppable while channeling shield. Yeah, she is. She is. While she's channeling her dash, she's CC immune. This is correct. Her right click is now a projectile. You lob this like you would lob a Howie mine. It is no longer a ground targeter. Does a little bit less damage total, but you can throw it much farther. Also has a much shorter cooldown. Flytrap has grown in size. It's now much larger and you can pull targets out of the air. So people who are above your ultimate, like Skylar Flight or Howie ult, can get pulled down now. I don't know if this hits Howie ultimate. Howie ult might be too high. Pull delay wildly decreased. Magic scaling increased a lot. Faye buffer nerf, overall a buff. This is definitely a buff. It does as long as it ain't low ground. Okay, I see. Interesting. I'll have to try it. Overall buff to Faye, for sure. Twin Blast has a new ultimate AUG. His ult now, so Ventilate deals 50% more damage, but has less accuracy, with its bullets now randomly spreading out when firing. So TB can turn his ult into a shotgun. It still goes the full range, but at max range, because of the bullet spread, you're not really going to hit anything. But if you are close to somebody, you will just one-tap them with this. It is funny. Gunslinger, his passive on-hit modifier increased. Delay before the third shot increased slightly. Projectile VFX improved. Cool. On-hit modifier. Keep in mind, this makes TB a 110 fucking auto attacker. Crazy. Vaporize. Slightly more damage. Awesome. Rocket Dash. Cooldown increased to 20 seconds. Cooldown refund on hit changed from flat 0.6 to scaling up to 9%. Which is insane, bro. Cooldown refund on hit now applies against non-heroes at 40% effectiveness. Gunslinger damage now correctly reduces the cooldown of Rocket Dash. Very cool. Vortex Grenade. Damage increased. Cooldown increased. Animation speed decreased. Blocking window decreased. Cool. Yeah. This dash change to TB is insane. Like, on a base level, like level 1 and shit, this is pretty bad. But, like, late game, good fucking luck catching this character, dude. Dash is actually on, like, a 3-second cooldown. It is insane, dude. It is crazy. Wraith, this is one that a lot of people are pissed about for some reason. Like, fuck, bro. Who likes playing against this character? Neutralizer gets some damage increase. Peekaboo, this is his Q. Damage decrease. Max HP damage goes up fucking doubles, though. Surprise, surprise, this is his Invis. Costs more, way longer cooldown. Good. Knock, knock. No longer pierces terrain. A lot of people are pissed about this, bro. This character is unhealthy. This character is straight up unhealthy. And there is no reason that people should be mad about this change. I'm just going to be honest. This character is simply unhealthy, and this is a fine change. The damage on this goes down. Base damage goes up. Scaling, magic scaling increased. Minion modifier increased. Cooldown refund from hitting marked targets changed from set to 1 second to 65%. This change is actually, this change is kind of whatever, honestly. Cooldown increased as well. They just nuked the character. I mean, good. He needed some counterplay so he can make his numbers reasonable. I mean, that's the thing, right, Blood? It's like, what do you do when Timmy25 plugs in a controller and hits every Wraith snipe? Like, the game is over, bro. The game is over. There's no counterplay to this champ, right? The character is simply put, the character's unhealthy for the game, right? This gives you counterplay. This gives you counterplay. If you're standing in mid lane against Wraith, guess what? He's going to fucking snipe you. But now I can go stand on River below the stairs, and I cannot get sniped. It gives me actual counterplay to the fucking champ. It is in the champion has 0 counterplay in the game as is. 0 counterplay. This is I think this is a fantastic change. Even let's say hypothetically patch comes out and Wraith sucks dick. Good. Good, bro. Good. Wukong. Wukong doesn't really get anything. Unlucky. Yin. More damage on her autos. Her passive is now 5 stacks instead of 8, but she gets a little bit more attack speed per stack. The attack speed is also total attack speed, which is a slight buff, but you get a little bit less of it. You can see her stacks as well. Lash Kick now has air control when vaulting off of terrain and targets instead of being locked into her chosen direction. Very cool. Does way less damage, but scaling gets increased, so that's not terrible. Windburn. Passive max HP damage increased. Epic. Cooldown now begins on ability cast, so this is fucking permanent. This is actually just permanent. This is like a 6-second duration on an 8-second cooldown. So yeah, awesome. Cleave decreased though, so her jungle clear will be slightly worse. Backlash does way less damage. Scaling changed though, so again, this does less damage. They're taking a lot of damage out of her abilities and putting it into autos. Fine. Yuri, her ult dog no longer reduces the self-slow of her ult. Nice. Her Q does less damage. Healing increased slightly. Healing increased again. Mana cost increased, so like level 1, this is kind of rough. 1 second reduced cooldown though. Epic. Damage increased on her dash. Base damage increased and damage increased. That's actually a pretty big buff to her dash. Her knives, her daggers, cooldown decrease early, increased late. Buffer window increased. Self-slow on her ultimate increased as well. So overall, Yuri is getting a pretty good damage buff here, honestly. Well, I guess her Q does less, but her dash does a lot more. And her Q heals her a little more. Interesting. Explain the last QOL on Severance. Yuri now immediately stops movement upon casting Severance. Basically, her dash has like a 0.2 second windup, and you can move during that windup, and it makes you miss. It is quite annoying. Bug fix. Fixed an issue where parts of Xeris' mesh were receiving decals. More damage on autos. Barricade does more damage. Very cool. Evade, his dash, cooldown reduced by 2 seconds. That's quite a bit. Spear of Near, more damage. Hold time before switching to throw decrease, so you can throw the spear faster. Interesting. Cooldown decreased slightly. Okay. Spear throw Xeris offlane, gonna be OP. Ultimate does a fuck ton more damage. Cage duration decreased though. Very cool. Zinc. Some of these just don't seem real. Again, like I said earlier, guys, if you guys have not played the patch, I strongly urge you to wait till Tuesday and play the fucking patch before you guys come up with big, large opinions. That is what I strongly urge you to do. Zinx. Triage protocol. Zinx no longer extends her stack duration when damaging heroes. Very cool. Refibrillator, her auto attack damage over time per tick increased very slightly. Ricochet, damage decreased. Initial projectile no longer has a bonus homing towards targets. Good. Why is Zinx fucking stun a lock on? Who knows? It does outrange autos now though. Very epic. Slightly faster. Cool. Bad medicine, her E, slightly bigger radius. Cool. You can probably just hit a whole wave easier with this now. Projectile gravity increased, speed increased. Gravity goes way up after 1,000 units. Her ultimate, this is a big change to Zinx. Her ultimate is no longer percent resurrect. Yes, it will be done. It is no longer percent resurrect. It is now base healing plus scaling. Same with the mana regen. No longer res at 55% HP mana. You now res with based on how much magic power Zinx has. So like on a squishy hero, on like your mid laner, your ADC, they are fucking full healed when they come out of res. But on a tank, it is probably slightly worse. If I have 5,000 HP, I would need like 600 magic power. It'd have to be full damage to make this the same. All right, moving on to items. Crests, Soul Bearer. Shield changed from just max mana to 100 base plus power plus max mana. Very cool. That's fine. I think this is I think this is just a nerf Gideon. That would be my guess. Gideon, full mana build Gideon, Soul Bearer was like a fucking 1200 shield. I thought that shit was so funny. Actually hilarious. Peak comedy right there. Ruthless Broadsword, the shred items, corrode is going down. Void Crystal, I'll get to this when we get to World Break. Nuke rounds, attack speed increased, ability haste increased, very epic. Quiver, attack speed increased. Sky Splitter gets a buff. Solaris, damage goes down slightly. Spectra works the same way. It's just worded properly now, and you can also use this. Spectra now hits bosses. This now hits Fangtooth and Prime, which is actually nice. Like, this item does like a respectable amount of damage, and now that it hits objectives, it's actually made like this alone will help make on-hit builds more viable. And I truly think that until they fix Stormbreaker, on-hit builds will be bad. But if they fix Stormbreaker to work like Odysseus Bow, then I think Stormbreaker would unironically be a good item. Like, that is the biggest issue with Stormbreaker is that it's a wave clear item that doesn't work properly to clear the wave. If they made it Odysseus Bow, it would actually clear the wave, and it would feel much better. Viper, so all the corrode items, I guess, are going down to 4%. Very cool. Fighter items, Bazzi, again, same thing. Enhanced move speed to 8%, though. That's kind of epic. Oboe's goated. Again, so the difference between Oboe and Stormbreaker is Oboe, when you shoot somebody, Oboe hits them and then chains off of them. And if someone's standing here, Oboe will chain to this guy. And if someone else is standing here, Oboe will chain from this guy to this guy. Stormbreaker, the way that Stormbreaker works, is it chains from the initial target hit. Right? So the first target that you hit is where the chain radius exists. It doesn't move with the lightning. So if a minion wave is walking at me, and I Stormbreaker zap the first minion in the wave, it'll only hit 2 minions, instead of zapping through the wave, as it should, right? And unironic, if it hit the whole wave, Stormbreaker would legitimately not be a bad item. It legitimately wouldn't be that bad, because it would actually clear the wave. Right now, the issue is that if you go at first, it doesn't clear the wave, even though it's a wave clear item, right? That change alone would make Stormbreaker significantly better. Mage items. Amulet of Chaos, less pen. Azure Core gets a similar treatment to Soul Bearer, where the mana scaling goes down, but it gains some base shield. Very cool. Makes it a little bit better, like as a first buy, I guess. Life Core, Healing Wisp, magic power scaling decrease. Life Core is broken, bro. Life Core is broken. It'll still be broken. Megacosm. This is actually a cool change. So it gets a cost decrease, but it gains HP. 250 HP on Megacosm. No more mana, but 250 HP. So if you're playing a tank, now you can go Megacosm. Oathkeeper, less damage. World Breaker. So this doesn't have all the World Breaker changes. This isn't the full rework of World Breaker, is it? Basically, they made World Breaker so that you can't stack it instantly. But I thought this was buffed. You can only gain 1 World Breaker stack per second now. Is the change. They were last patch. Oh, that was in the last patch? I see. Okay. So they buffed World Breaker last patch, and now they're slightly nerfing it, so that you can only gain 1 World Breaker stack per second. I thought that was a testing change. I thought this was in the testing. It all blurs together. Tank items. Fire Blossom. Now you're tankier with Fire Blossom. Does less damage. Inquisition. Slightly increased match spell blades. Bug fixes. Don't care. Well, guys, we're only 2.5 hours into stream and we finally finished patch notes. Yay! It's over. Patch of the year. This is the only patch this year. It's the only patch this year. This is the one, guys. This is the one that we get. Good luck. Honest opinion, should the patch notes be longer? So as much as I will complain for probably the rest of the stream today about how long the patch notes are, patches like this truly, like just from a player's perspective, I fucking love it, bro. From a competitive player's perspective, I love it. I love these kinds of patches. From a content creator perspective, I love these kinds of patches, bro. It refreshes the game. I get to play all the new shit. I get to find what works. I get to play fucking Magic Serath, shit like that, right? Awesome. Sick. I love these kinds of patches. I fucking love them. My favorite change? Good question, Blood. Honestly, I feel like I would say Gideon, probably. Because again, like I won't lie, right? So like I don't know how long we've been testing these changes. I've maybe started playing the changes like 10 days ago or something, and I've given a bunch of feedback, right? I just to be clear, guys, I'm not like in love with every change in the patch, right? Like I'm not gonna fucking sit here and suck off every change of the patch, but like, dude, this kind of shit, it's just refreshing, man. It is refreshing. And again, I think it is the correct step for the game, the correct direction for the game to go. I don't have to like everything that's in the game, right? Like the Countess changes, like this Countess Q change, I think this shit is cancerous. This shit, like, I think this is cancerous, right? I think it is super gross, but I don't have to like it, bro. You know what I mean? I don't gotta. I think the Gideon changes are sick. Like that's probably my favorite one is Gideon. Feng Mao changes are cool. They're pushing him to build full assassin, stuff like that. I really like the shift between ADCs, 1500 ADCs versus 1350 ADCs, that kind of thing. I think those kinds of changes are fantastic. Again, I don't have to like every kit change in the patch. And and again, when we were testing, bro, I gave my feedback on the kits I didn't like. I gave my feedback, right? Like, that's fine. Like, I don't gotta like it. But again, these kinds of patches it's so good for the game. From a content POV, it is very good. From a pro player POV, it is so good. I fucking love them, bro. I really like these patches. As much as I will complain that patch notes took me 2.5 hours to get through, I do like these patches. It'll be the longest fucking video render of all time.